right, welcome to the newest episode of Generational Talent, the best sports podcast if you think Shannon Sharp deserved to get fired. So, we're going to start off real quick with some news updates, and that's actually what I want to get your take on now that I think about it. So, real quick.
Do we need to introduce ourselves?
Oh, yes. I'm Tommy, the younger half of Generational Talent.
And I'm Travis. I'm the older generational gentleman and his dad. And we're sorry, by the way. We've been MIA for a little bit. We have an event that we do, country music festival, that basically makes us check out for 2 weeks. So we apologize.
Yeah, no, it is all consuming.
Yeah.
So that being said, some stuff has happened since we were last on air. Want to get real quick into, I suppose we should actually probably say the more depressing news at the top before we get into the more fun news. So, which is? The depressing shooting that happened at that NFL headquarters in, I believe, New York.
Yeah.
Gentleman drove all the way from our state to that headquarters, I think got in the wrong elevator or something. And, of course, innocent people, lost their lives to something like this. And the young man, I guess, blamed it all on CTE, said that he was suffering from it and I guess was trying to be a martyr for the lack of concern towards CTE. Yeah. But definitely thoughts and prayers to those families. That is a horrible thing.
Yeah, you want to be a martyr, be a martyr. I mean, and here's my thing on that. Not that you want anybody to do this, but, and again, this was totally tragic, but same scenario, right? CTE causing issues. Okay, what did Junior Seau do?
Yeah. Did
he wipe out and take out people with him? Come on. There's a difference between wanting to draw attention to what, you believe is something going on in your head, which fine. I mean, do what you got to do and draw attention to it. And what would be drawing attention to shooting innocent people that had nothing to do, by the way, with the NFL, which was his intent, right?
Yeah.
And so how's that being a martyr? You're just a psychopath.
Yeah, no, horrible dude. And horrible situation all in all.
Yeah, sad stuff.
Jump into more what I would consider to be almost unbelievable news. The Cleveland Browns have now gotten quarterback number 5 on the roster.
Now, Tommy, real quick, I want you to tell me who the 5 are. Don't look.
Okay.
Tell me who the 5 are. This is legitimate, and they're talking about carrying 4 of them for their active roster, which is insanity.
So you've got Joe Flacco, who I believe probably would have been the starter if not for injury.
And I think he is going to be the starter.
Is he not? No, he's not the one
who's injured. He's not the one who's injured.
Because Kenny Pickett's injured.
Correct.
And then you've got Dylan Gabriel, who's injured as well, who has been getting more reps than Shedeur Sanders,
who would be
already the 4th. And then this 5th one is, who
I give you credit for knowing the 4. I wouldn't have guessed it.
Who is the 5th one that they
just
picked up?
It's a nobody. It's a nobody, but he has played. He picked up and ended up playing for the Baltimore Ravens a number of times. And I can't remember the team he was on last year, but this guy actually did play. He was a backup to our man, what's his face? Lamar. Thank you, Jackson. Yeah.
You're going to say it and I'm going to be mad. Yeah. I'm not picking up on it.
Tyler Huntley.
Yes. Yep. Again, not who you would want to be your starting QB, but when you look at those options, though, when Joe Flacco's your best bet, that's not great. Not that Joe Flacco's bad. Like, the dude obviously has had a stellar comeback, but he's not going to get you there.
And Dylan Gabriel, we don't know anything about yet, right? But I would say with the others, you're right, including Flacco. Flacco's your best option out of all, but it's a bunch of C's. I mean, they'd all be good backups. These are all great backup names if you need a backup quarterback. Not a single one of them is going to be your starter.
Yeah, and we'll see. Obviously, Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel have the potential to be starters. It's hard to really know until we see some actual on-the-field playing. That's not just some preseason,
Well, speaking of preseason and Shedeur, he's getting the nod, against the Panthers.
Yeah, I saw Anthony Richardson, too, I think, is also going to be starting the preseason games for the Colts.
He needs some love. I mean, there's a few. I even heard Arizona's going to be playing their starters, including Murray, on their preseason game.
I don't blame them. The Cardinals need to do something if they want to get ahead of where they've been.
Right.
But, I just think that's hilarious. I mean, 5 QBs.
And if they actually do carry 4 on the active roster, when are you going to get to the 3rd and 4th guy? I mean, unless there's injuries, you're never going to see those guys.
And obviously, same thing with the Giants. And they're quarterback carousel nightmare, because with them they have Russell Wilson,
Jameis Winston,
their new pickup Tyler Shuck, and
then they still have what's his face, the Italian guy.
Oh, yeah, Tommy DeVito. Where did Jones go? He went to Jacksonville.
Who knows, he could get a shot. I don't know about in Jackson. Is that where he ended up?
I
can do it.
So, but I could be wrong.
I'll be your research assistant.
What was that? Danny Dimes Jones? Yeah. I remember my favorite play of Daniel Jones's entire career is when he had that full open field in front of him and had the opportunity to run a huge touchdown in and tripped over nothing.
Yeah, well, he tripped over air.
I mean, I was watching that one live and I looked at Linz and I'm like, are you seeing this? And she had to look up from her book and she's like, I don't get it. I'm like, he just tripped. He tripped out of nowhere. Like nothing happened.
Ironically, you just kind of said it. He is on the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, so he's competing with Richardson then.
Which I'd probably rather go with Danny Dimes.
I honestly, like, either one of those, I'm not super comfortable we're going far. Like, both of those guys, to me, Anthony Richardson is a bust. I think that is, and I don't even think that's surprising. I think he was drafted with the whole boom or bust mentality anyways. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be some generational talent. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be starting QB day one. Like, I think he was a big experiment, and I don't think it panned out. I don't think he's ready for the NFL. I think he's more or less just, tired.
Yeah, I think so too. Danny Dimes, looking at his whole career, his best year was 2019 by far. And he's been injury riddled the last couple of years. So
I was going to say the Giants have they had the one good season with Dable, and they have done nothing with that.
That's a tough team.
All right, so here's another one for you. Former Miami Heat security guard stole and sold over $2 million worth of jerseys, and he has finally been caught. What are your thoughts on that? Because I thought that was hilarious.
Well, I look at it this way. You knew you were going to get caught. There's no way you're getting away with that because, number one, people are going to be seeing that it's missing. Number one. Number two, you're selling these things, so it's out there. People are going to be like, well, where'd you get my jersey?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of stuff. So, and unfortunately, I think in the memorabilia business, you see that a lot. I mean,
you do.
You really got to trust who you're dealing with. I personally feel like that's an industry that can be very corrupt.
Yeah. My next one here, we're going to go back to NFL real quick. The NFL Players Association has seen significant leadership change. Lloyd Howell, the former executive director, resigned amidst controversy. Now, that controversy, I know I hinted at it to you before we started the show. This dude, insane write-offs, things like, having meetings in strip clubs and all that, and just writing it all off as, part of the business.
He was there for the lunch.
Yeah. And then he also was facing criticisms, bearing all sorts of collusion grievances and some, kind of shady stuff there. One of the other things, though, this gentleman, was a big, proponent in a lot of the NFL's partnerships, to which he was a member of partnering companies that the NFL was, doing business with. He was kind of playing both sides. Yeah. Overall, just kind of a scuzzy dude. And I think it was Pablo Torre was the one who kind of was like just digging into files and found a whole bunch of stuff that ousted this dude. A lot of news media ran with it, and then he did resign. So I know the NFLPA, I believe they are still looking for somebody. I don't know if they found anybody yet for his replacement.
My take on it too. They do need to get the right guy, but there's been a lot of talk about, the players, if they wanted to rise up, they could get more out of the NFL. Man, be careful. I look at it going, the NFL to me is a well-oiled moving machine. Not to say that players, don't deserve to get more, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, I look at it going, they probably could, but in the same token, I would not break something that's not broken. And that's what you would do, really. Yeah. I mean, I look at the strikes and why they were necessary, I guess, in other sports, but those other sports were struggling. You take the NFL right now and you do anything silly and the NFL takes years to recover, you all lose.
So they did hire an interim. It is David White is his name. David White. I'm trying to look up a little bit about this
Usually,
guy.
A lot of times those guys are former players. I don't recognize that name.
Yeah, I guess he's not. The voting player representation, blah, blah, blah. So there was a reason he was chosen because I was reading about this the other day. I believe he was a big proponent in SAG-AFTRA, something like that, the Writers' Strike Guild, all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they really like hammering this last guy. So he's tasked with cleaning up the mess that was left behind in addition to restoring trust between the union and its membership. They do not have the luxury of time, however, as training camps are already underway. But yeah, it looks like this gentleman, he used to... Where did it say? Oh, yeah, he was a member of SAG-AFTRA. So I think he was just chosen because he's already been...
The Screen Actors Guild, they all did. They had their strike here not too long ago, and... Please, whatever you do, don't strike. That would be the worst thing for that sport. Yeah, no.
I really want to see the Browns fail. Last bit of news, and this happened, I want to say, last week, but we weren't recording. Jose Caballero. Does that name ring a bell?
Probably should, but not ringing a bell.
He was the player who was traded mid-game from the Tampa Bay Devil Rays to the New York Yankees. Swapped jerseys mid-game.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. Not cool for him maybe, but that's just cool to hear.
And I guess because they did ask him about it. They said, how does it feel to like literally be hitting for one team and then all of a sudden you're turning on your teammates midway through this game? And he said, he's like, you know what? We're all here to play the game. I think everybody gets it. Like he was very, very casual about it. There was not a lot of love lost. These things. Baseball is a game of so many trades and so much changes to your roster because it's all statistics. I mean, so much of it is built into that. But I love that idea of you can literally be traded mid-game. Like your same teammate is the same dude you were just throwing to at first base.
So after the game was over, when he had to go back to his old locker room. I'm assuming.
That was the thing. I want to say he literally had to like walk across the whole field. It was like a whole thing because there's a lot of rules that go into it. Let me take a look.
I personally think that is kind of funny. I don't know if he thought it was funny, but I mean, I'll tell you one thing. It's going to be a trivia question down the road for sure. Because even you asking me who that was, I had no idea, but now I know.
Yeah. So it was. So it happened during a rain delay. I guess so. His exact quote was, "We won, I guess," as he starts the game in one dugout and ends it in the other. So he was about to take some swings in the batting cage, steps from the visiting dugout at Yankee Stadium when he felt a tap on the shoulder. The infielder was then exchanging goodbyes and hugs with handshakes, prepping to join a new team. He didn't have to travel far. Even in the most active trade deadlines in recent memory, his mid-game swap, he shedded the Rays jersey, packed his bag, walked through the Yankees clubhouse doors into a victory against his team, I believe. Yeah. So he won with the team he got traded to.
Speaking of the Yankees dugout, as we're doing this podcast, they're in third place, danger of being in fourth in their own division. They are poor Nicky boy, Nick Beaton, the guy that we do this show with. Not this show, but we do shows with all the time. Biggest Yankees fan we know, him and his dad. And if you're a Yankees fan right now, your team since the All-Star break, terrible. Dropping like an anchor.
How are the Mariners doing?
We're in second place, and we made good trade moves because, as we know, I'm a big Mariners fan. I always have been since I was a kid. And, we're in second place in our AFC. Or I'm sorry, the American League West. And so we'll see how it's going. But we made good trades, and our team's playing good. I mean, we got a better record than the Yankees now, so it's kind of funny.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I know we got to go to break, right?
Yeah.
But because I do have a few things, but we can save them for the next segment.
Was it news items, or is it more or less you want some takes on it?
I want some takes on it.
Okay,
for sure.
Yeah. All right, we'll catch you guys in segment 2. Hello, everyone. This is Thomas Crowder with Desert Highway Radio. If you're enjoying what you're listening to and you want to hear more of what we have to offer, go ahead and tune on into Mic'd Up and Mildly Qualified. That is the one-stop shop for all pop culture, comedy-related news, games, trivia, all sorts of fun stuff. It's hosted by Tommy Crowder, Nick Beaton, and Matt Phillips. And if you like Tommy and Trav, you should head on over to the morning show with Travis and John, even though there's nobody on that show named John anymore. But they haven't changed the title, so that's what you got to look up. Anyways, we'll catch you there. Welcome back to Generational Talent. Trav, you've got some news for us.
We're talking live news. Now, so as of the broadcast time, we'll see if it pulls off, right?
Which is August 6th at 12:18 p.m.
There was a day game today. Cleveland in Guardians versus the New York Mets. Right now, going into we're talking bottom of the ninth, 1 out. He's 2 outs away from it.
Keep that open then.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to keep it open. His name is Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams this year, he's 6-4 with an ERA of 3.33. I mean, nothing to write home to mom about, but an average player. But right now he's above average. Right now he is no hitting the New York Mets, which is no slouch of a team who's 63-51.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it live. We'll kind of pay attention
to
things.
2 outs away in the bottom of the ninth.
And let me see if he's got it. I don't think it's a perfect game. No, there's a couple of walks in there. But, we're talking a no-hitter nonetheless. 2 outs left in this, so we'll pay attention. So while that update's coming into play, I do have a couple of things for you on some takes.
Okay. All right, let's hear them.
I want to hear your take on this one first. Micah Parsons. So, and I say Micah Parsons because it's not just Micah Parsons. I want your take on both. It's Micah Parsons and...
You gonna hit me with Trey Hendrickson? Is that the other one?
Oh, Tommy, talk about we ruined the poor guy's luck. Not only did he lose the no-hitter, he just gave up a home run. He lost the shutout too.
Hey, well, you heard it here live.
You heard it here live. With two outs to go. The poor. Oh,
you
poor
you
man.
know what? Whoever that dude is, don't add us. Okay.
Right. But Micah Parsons. So here's my take. Well, I want to hear yours before we even get into mine. Here's what you got dealing on for all the folks out there. Micah Parsons has been holding out and wanting a better deal. Yep. And I would say, depending on how you feel about things, in fairness to him, in the position and where he's at, he is underpaid compared to what others are getting, and he's probably the best in his position. That being said, he's holding out for more money, And the ownership, Jerry Jones, is digging in and doesn't want to pay him. Now, mind you, this is the same guy who paid big money to Dak Prescott and paid big money to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
So I suppose you don't have to pay big money to your defensive player, but he's the best at his position, in my opinion. Him and Myles Garrett are two of the best in their positions. So, and that's one thing that they're comparing him to. He's a fraction of what Myles Garrett is getting.
Myles Garrett, that whole trade, while good for him, I mean, it shifted that whole, what the average player should be being paid in those defensive positions. I view the Cowboys situation very similarly to the Bengals. And I talked about this on a different podcast that we did some ranking stuff for NFL. But the Bengals, same thing with Trey Hendrickson, right? You got Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, who are wanting money, who deserve money because they are top tier at their positions. Meanwhile, they have to watch their quarterbacks and wide receivers getting banked. And again, like I talked about on that podcast, and I feel like you agree with me pretty strongly here, defense is what wins games. So when they are willing to shell out a ton of money for, a quarterback wide receiver duo who has not been able to win a Super Bowl and they're not willing to pay the money, it's a problem. And I think specifically for those two teams, Dallas and the Bengals, what you see there, why they lost those games, was because of the defense. The offense was slinging it, and that's great, but they're losing games because they do not have the defensive capability to stop the other team. So it comes down to this. Do you want to win? Because if you want to win, you've got to pay those guys. And however that looks, and this is where contract negotiations to me are so important, because so many of these guys want the money right up front. You can swing a deal to where you're not hitting your cap space and you're just extending these dudes' contracts, but for some reason, there's not enough effort put into these contract negotiations because they would rather the overall price be knocked down. And that's where these owners and these general managers, which for Jerry Jones he's both, that's a big problem because they so badly are looking at the bottom line of, well, this is how much they want. Well, you can find ways to help your salary cap and pay these guys those contracts without absolutely demolishing your team. But for both of these teams, they've already screwed that up. They've screwed that up by paying too much right out the gate for their quarterback and wide receiver to where now they would have to do such extended contracts to not hurt their salary cap that they shot their own team in the foot.
They shot their team in the foot, and here's where it's at. You want to do comparisons. Here's where it's at. I'm not saying I'm advocating for Micah Parsons to hold out, but
I'm advocating for him and Trey Hendrickson. Right. I hate this ownership and these decisions that those two teams make. They're stingy.
Well, and just like you were saying, you were talking about the salaries, right? So you take a guess what Myles Garrett is making this year.
Probably 16.
40.
Oh, so 40, he's getting paid right up front then.
He's $40 million a year. So he signed a deal 4 years. That's the average. Now, mind you, they have signing bonuses and stuff, but he signed 4 years, $160 million. So he's making $40 million a year. Micah Parsons this year. Micah Parsons is set this year to make 24. He's going to have a problem with that.
And see, when does his contract end?
Because he's in the last year of his contract.
And that he wants more pay. So you could pay him realistically the same as Garrett. And if you believe that Micah Parsons has got 6-7 years in him, then you just extend it out.
Yep.
Or, you do some signing bonuses. You have a lot of things like, not contingencies, but, well, I guess it would be contingencies, right? You get this many, what do they call those? Some space in the title for it. Like, where you offer them more money if they complete a certain task.
Oh, incentive-based.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you could do stuff like that. There's so many ways.
I love incentive-based contracts, by the way. You're paid for how you do.
Exactly. And the problem with these general managers is they're not even like, and unless I'm wrong, I'm not in these contract negotiation rooms, but I feel like we would have heard about it by now. Like, well, we made him the offer with these incentives. But they're not. They're not offering him anything. So it's like, that's why he's frustrated. There's not even talks happening, and that's a problem because you should at least meet your guy halfway. He's the one putting his body on the line, kicking ass, and he's watching this other dude doing the same stuff, getting paid the exact amount of money he wants and deserves.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too.
Yep.
Especially because it's like, hey, Dallas, way to pay those two guys that can't get you anywhere.
Well, and Micah Parsons, when he did the cardinal rule when you're done with a team, typically he went to social and said, "I want out of here."
Yeah.
And usually usually it's one thing when you hear the agents spinning things for their players. Usually when the player does his own social and puts it out there, that pretty much, not want to say it's a nail in the coffin, but more times than not, you better do something because now he's on record saying he wants out. This isn't spin.
Well, and how many times, in the last 2-3 years has Jerry Jones done the whole, well, we're all in this year, and the man does nothing.
Yeah, right.
He hires Brian Schottenheimer, which, who knows how he's going to do, but talk about a boring deal there. You sat back and watched as some of the best OCs and DCs went ahead and got drafted into head coach jobs while you sat there and did nothing.
Yep.
I mean, you knew at the end of the day you were letting go of McCarthy. You knew you were going to do it. So why wait on it? But it's like bonehead stuff like that to where it's like, this is the problem when you have an owner who's also acting as a GM and who is old and senile.
And how has that worked for Jerry? Since, I mean, I give you credit.
90s.
You've made that team relevant in the sense of the fact that still like one of the highest grossing and valued franchises when you haven't won anything since the 90s. I give in terms of the spin factor, great. But in terms of ownership, he has been the reverse Midas touch. Yeah. You know, who won those? We all know it. You're looking at Jimmy Johnson. You're looking at Troy Aikman, Emmett Smith, and Michael Irvin. You know, let's be real. And it was Jimmy Johnson that won those championships. And when he had enough of Jerry Jones, he bounced.
And I will say, obviously they did win one after Jimmy Johnson left, but how could you not? When Jimmy Johnson set you up for, because that's the thing, the coach that came in,
players were still there.
Yeah, players were still there. Right. The new coach played off of Jimmy Johnson's playbook. So say what you will, it was just Jimmy Johnson coaching from afar.
Yeah,
that's why they won.
You're going to win because the talent was still there, you know. And so
it had nothing to do with Jones himself.
No, and so, nothing. I mean, no offense. It's kind of like the Gillette, family there in New England. You know, whether you like Belichick or not, it was Belichick and Brady that won all the Super Bowls. The owners said, you may have been, putting them together, but I'm a firm believer. And if you're the owner, Jerry Jones would be a prime example. You need to step back and let the football people run the football business. I mean, just because you're, a businessman does not mean that you are an expert in terms of, the actual football, for that matter, any sport.
Well, and a lot of times when you see those owners that have too much, input, Jerry Jones, Tepper, I would say, with the Panthers. I mean, David Tepper has a lot of input on how the Panthers has run, and look at how that franchise has gone. My goodness.
Up until Washington finally moved off of Daniel Snyder. Now what are they doing, right? They're winning.
Yeah, because you let the people who know the sport do what they need to do. I mean, it's common sense. And that's why I hope to God that, Micah Parsons gets paid or goes to a team that pays him, and I want to see the Cowboys fail, because to pay all that money to Dak Prescott, who has not done what he needed to do, is ridiculous. Now, CeeDee Lamb, I'm not as opposed to him pulling in a big paycheck. I think he's a top-tier wide receiver. Yeah. Again, could have doled that money out a little bit more graciously, I think, to make sure that the team could succeed rather than these individuals. But Dak Prescott, come on, man. What a waste of money.
And he blew it too, and now it's too far gone. Now, that being said, where would you like to see Micah Parsons land if he does leave?
So you and I talked about this already, and you told me a potential landing spot. Now, prior to you saying that, I would not have thought that, because I just, to me, they don't need it. I personally, there's two teams where he could go. I know you're going to say one, so I'll say the other. I would love to see him on the Lions. I think the Lions did so much with their defense last year after all those injuries that if you add in another stellar player like that, you don't even need to worry about Jared
with
Goff.
Hutchinson being healthy.
Because that's the thing. The Lions are a team where it's like Jared Goff's so hit or miss that you don't want to rely on him if you don't have to. And so you throw a Micah Parsons onto that squad. Okay, Jared Goff, he doesn't need to play.
No, that's a good move. I talked to Tommy earlier. I had heard rumor that the Bills might be in play, and
Which
I think
I would love.
Yeah, he gets on the Bills. You might as well. I mean, you're if nothing else, you're going to the NFC Championship game. That's almost a given, if not a Super Bowl, especially if everybody stays healthy. I'm a Josh Allen nut. I think he's a stud. I love how he turns down more money from other teams and what have you to stay there, and he's loyal to the Bills Mafia.
Yeah, Burrow, take notes, bud.
I personally, I'll be on record right now saying I think Josh Allen's going to pull a Patriots move in terms of be on that team for a very long time.
Oh, I think so too, and I hope so, because I genuinely love Josh Allen. I think a small kid from a small town,
Fireball,
we
California.
Know well, so,
Fireball, California. And here's what I like too. If you're a Bills fan, you ain't no front runner. So I love Bills Mafia and all those guys. You've been waiting. If there's ever a franchise that's due, it is the poor Bills.
They are cursed.
They are cursed, and they need it. They need a break. Those fans have been so loyal, and they're psycho fans, man. They're into it. But yeah, I think if he stays there and the weapons around him, and you get him a defensive stud, could be interesting. And I heard that they have salary cap money.
They have to. Who are their stars besides Josh Allen?
Yeah, there ain't no. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of A's. And they did better when they got rid of Diggs. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, well, I think everybody's going to do better when they get rid of the premium. Look at, I mean, not that they did better, but I would say like Odell Beckham did nothing to enhance any teams after that New York catch. I mean, you threw him over there. I would not accredit him to the Rams win. I think they could have won without him. I don't think he's done anything.
No.
All right.
Now you have a take.
Yeah. So here's something for you. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go from 5 to 1, the highest paid RBs. And this is per year. I'm not going to look at their overall contracts, just per year right now, the highest paid running backs. Now I just want your opinions.
Okay.
Number 5, you got Jonathan Taylor. He's making $13 million a year.
Last year's Jonathan Taylor and a healthy Jonathan, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Next up would be Derrick Henry, $14 million a year.
Especially based on last year, I would say, he's a beast.
Yep. Number 3, Christian McCaffrey with 16.2 mil. I don't think he's worth that.
I would say that based on the last couple of years, no way.
No,
because he's not injured. Yeah, I would say a healthy McCaffrey, of course, but I don't know that we're going to see a healthy McCaffrey anymore. I don't know.
All the years that I've done fantasy football, and I'm in four different leagues, I've had first pick a couple times, never used it on him, and I never will because I don't trust that he can finish the season healthy.
It is a legitimate deal. The years where he is healthy, he's a monster, but I think those days are behind him.
I think so too.
He might pull a Saquon, you never know, but I don't know.
Well, speaking of Saquon, number 2, Saquon Barkley with 16.5.
Well, here's what I would say. I mean, if you're surely basing it on last year, of course he's worth that. He's the stud of studs. And I would say there's no reason to think he can't do it again.
I would say 1 or 2 more years we'll get around this. I don't think he's going to get any better, but I do see him holding on to where we're at.
As long as he stays healthy, I think he's worth it.
So I've told you now the top 4, not number 1 though yet. Who do you think number 1 would be since I just named off Saquon Barkley, McCaffrey, Henry, and Taylor? Who would number 1 be? And I'll tell you right now, per year, 23.5 is what they're going to be making this year. So that's a jump of $9 million. Or I'm sorry, $7 million. $7 million from Saquon Barkley. And it's going to throw you off. And again, I'll double check some stats because I pulled this from 2 different websites. But Ashton Genty.
The Raiders? Wait a minute. Well, there's rookie contracts.
I don't know what to tell you. He popped up as $23.5 million he's making this year. I'll go ahead and just look him up single.
Well, here's what they may have done, and I think you're starting to see this happen. You know how they get around those rookie salary caps? Massive signing bonuses.
Then that would make sense.
I would bet you money they must have given him a master because I'm pretty sure there's a cap. I mean, for the rookies.
Signing bonus of $22.75
there it is.
million.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if you look at his actual contract, Tommy, there's no way he's making that for a salary.
Yeah.
Does it say that or just show the bonus?
So he's the 6th overall pick, fully guaranteed contract worth $39.5. This includes a signing bonus of $22.75.
So
most of it's all there.
Yeah. So the other 17 is a 4-year deal. So see, he's nowhere near that from an annual.
Exactly. But when you look at the per year, I mean, he's number 1 right now per year, which is insane.
Well,
his contract includes the 5th year option with an average annual salary of almost $9 million. That's it. He's the 11th highest player. In terms of full-blown contracts, he's the 11th highest. But in terms of just the per year for 2025, he will be the top paid.
So what you're seeing now is a loophole with the rookie contracts because it used to be teams would go out to them rookies and them draft picks because it saves you capital for at least the first 4 years, right?
This did not save them capital for 2025.
And they're banking on the fact. And I definitely understand why a lot of teams will not pay their running backs big money because how many of those running backs do you name always stay healthy? I mean, Henry maybe. Saquon's been injured.
Henry would be the only one on this list.
Correct. And so to me,
Taylor, McCaffrey, and Saquon have all been injured pretty heavily.
What I think a lot of teams do, they'll draft that that running back in the 2nd or 3rd round. They'll fill their cupboard up with 3 or 4 backs in there, knowing it'll be a carousel.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to keep one healthy, it's kind of like what the Hawks did, right? I mean, again, I'm a Hawks fan, so we go that route. But you got Charbonnet. So if Kenneth Walker does go down, you have another back. And what they do this year, they drafted another back.
Yeah.
I mean, they just keep that cupboard full.
Well, and as much as I hate it for fantasy purposes, as a fan of a team, I love the whole committee running back option too. I think the Packers nailed it when they had Jones and Dillon going at the same time. Those are 2 rock star running backs, and your risk of injury. And obviously,
the Lions.
Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, the Lions were big time good there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a smart way to give as much longevity to your running backs as possible. And obviously, it's not always going to win you everything because look at what the Eagles just did. It's not like there was anybody else aside from Saquon who was killing it out there. Saquon was their guy, and they made it work. And luckily, he did not get injured. But that's the risk you take when you're just putting the same guy out there over and over and over.
When you look at the other team, though, Kansas City, theirs was by committee. I mean, they couldn't stick on one guy the whole time at all.
Yeah, but see, the problem with their committee is it just wasn't a lot of good options.
No, a lot of C's. Yeah, definitely. So I got another one for you.
Let's hear it.
ESPN's making a mega deal.
Oh, I heard this one this morning,
Big one, yeah. And my only question, Tommy, I couldn't get in the article, when does it start? Do we need to buy the package with ESPN because they're going to have a monthly platform now? I think it's $30 a month for their platform.
It is, yeah. That's a good question as to when it's going to start because I do my Red Zone through the NFL Plus. I just paid $15 a month during the football season to get my Red Zone, so I'm curious if I'm still going to have any sort of option like that.
I know.
But let me take a look. ESPN
so
deal.
ESPN, here's the mega deal here for fans that are listening. Tommy hasn't looked that up. ESPN is acquiring the NFL Network and other NFL league media assets, including the linear rights to the league's popular Red Zone channel, which to me is the best thing on the
best
God's
way to
green
watch
earth.
football.
Yep. In a deal that will see the NFL get a 10% equity stake in all sports networks. It was announced Tuesday night. ESPN will also acquire the NFL's fantasy product and merge into its existing platform, making ESPN Fantasy Football the official game of the NFL. In a separate deal, the NFL also agreed to license ESPN other NFL content and intellectual property that will appear on the NFL Network. It does give them more games. ESPN platforms will also license 3 additional NFL games per season, giving them a total of 28 during the regular season.
I know that they also have a deal that, same part of that deal, WWE. They were able to get a lot of their big events too.
Okay.
So the deal is set to launch on August 21st. That's when the streaming service will launch, as well as the deal will go into effect in August 21st.
Oh, so they are getting ahead of the season.
Yeah, so the WWE deal, those major events will start in 2026. So their part of the deal doesn't start till later. But in terms of the NFL stuff, yeah, that will be August 21st.
And it's going to be a $29.99 per month deal.
Honestly, I'll pay it.
I'll pay it. But I'll pay it because you also get ESPN. You get all the other things too.
There's a lot you're going to get. Then you get those beautiful 30 for 30s, which I love.
Yeah. So there we go. So they are getting ahead. Okay. So that was what I was wondering. I'm like, I'm going to get the Red Zone. Where am I going for it? Well, I'm going to go to ESPN.
Yep. I'll do that.
And you know what? ESPN, people can say what they want. But I tell you one thing. The NFL and Disney. There you go. Talk about just absolutely, because Disney owns 80% of ESPN.
Yeah.
And ABC, right? And so here's my thing. Disney and the NFL. Just talk about 2 of the most behemoth, mammoth size deals, and because the NFL is just a beast to me. So do you think it's a good deal, bad deal? What do you think?
I think it's a good deal. Here's my thing, and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say one of the biggest issues with the NFL is you have to have so many different options to watch all the games. If you want to watch every NFL game, well, get ready to have a Peacock. If you don't do cable, I guess, because I don't do cable. So I have Peacock, I have Paramount Plus, I have ESPN Plus. I pay for the Red Zone channel.
Your Monday night games are Prime.
Yeah, it's Thursday's Prime.
Or Thursday's Prime.
Yeah, Monday was ESPN.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, again, the Netflix had the freaking Christmas game. It's the problem with it is there's no real nice way to get it all. And I don't think this solves that either at all, because you're still going to need to do the Netflix for the games. But
but let me ask you this, though. Outside, do you already have those platforms? Because for all the ones that you just mentioned, I have anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you and I also share a lot of passwords too. Mm-hmm. And I would say for most of that, yes, I already had those. It wasn't because of the only one that I did because of the NFL would have been my NFL Plus package that I purchased for Red Zone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which again, okay, well, it sounds like I'm just going to add $15 a month to my already existing ESPN and just do this whole new streaming service and pay $30, and I'll already get the 2 things I was paying for separately. So it's a way of, I guess, slowly getting things into one package. Ideally, if there is some way to just do an NFL package where I don't have to have I don't have to log into 5 different things to watch all these games, that would be the best way to do it. Obviously, I'm sure there's probably some cable versions for that. But I can't even guarantee that, because if there's no shot that those Netflix Christmas games are going to be showing up on your cable packages, it's just too spread out.
It just goes to show you what a beast the NFL is. That everybody wants, even if some of those streaming platforms, I think, only had 4 games for the whole season.
Yeah, no. The Netflix one's one of the funniest ones, because when that was happening, right, you had LeBron James, posting all about, NBA owns Christmas, get out of here. And then they released the numbers, and it was not even close. There was 3 times as much viewership for the NFL.
Yeah, here's the thing, LeBron. They do when nothing else is on to watch.
That's the thing.
You have no competition.
He did take the statement back as soon as they dropped the streaming numbers. It was oh, never mind kind of situation, because it was yeah, dude, when we are beating it 3-1, you're not going to have anything to say.
Hence, all the major sports added up together can't even touch the NFL. So you can say that, but don't be looking like a dope, because there is nothing that you guys own.
Yeah, well, when TNT is your main, providing, network, that's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
That and True TV. I'm like, come on. Yeah. NBA, we're getting the major affiliates. You guys are getting put on the same things that are doing reruns of Lethal Weapon all day. Don't
get me wrong. I'll follow the NBA in general, and I'll pay attention, but I really don't get into it until it's playoff time.
Did you have any other hot takes?
No, that was it on my hot
takes. I'll do one last one, and then I've got the debate ready. So, Shannon Sharp fired from ESPN.
Oh,
now.
Yep.
He had a relationship with ESPN because he had previously signed a multi-year contract with the network in 2024, expanding his role on First Take. But now the ESPN has parted ways with him. The decision comes directly after the sexual assault lawsuit filed against Shannon Sharpe in April. He initially called the lawsuit a shakedown, but now his departure from ESPN kind of maybe throws some things up in the air. Obviously, we can't sit here and say that he did or didn't do anything. Everything's alleged, but when ESPN is willing to walk away from one of the biggest media talents, aside from, unfortunately, Stephen A. Smith, who I think is a joke, like that speaks volumes. But it also, it's interesting because Shannon Sharpe's the same guy to where when Skip Bayless gets dropped from networks, he's done. Like, nobody cares about Skip Bayless. Like, his YouTube viewership is just minimal. Shannon Sharpe, on the other hand, got picked up, much like Pat McAfee, got picked up by these major networks because he was so big on streaming. Do you think a firing from ESPN will affect him on like other platforms? Do you think he's still relevant? Like, what are your thoughts on Shannon Sharpe in general?
That's a great question. I think the concern of the content of what he's busted for, or I shouldn't say busted for, what he's alleged to be doing. And here's my thing. You're fired and you settle. So you may be alleged, but I'm like, if they fired you and you settled with a healthy chunk of dough, how innocent were you? You see what I mean?
Well, so, the thing is too, he's got a couple podcasts. He's got Nightcap, which he does with Chad Ochocinco, and then he's got Club Shay Shay, which is his bigger one. That podcast alone, over 2 billion views.
Oh my goodness.
Across all platforms just in 2024. So
okay.
In reality,
he's probably not going to be touched.
I don't think he would be either. I think Shannon Sharpe's in an untouchable position.
Holy cow.
Yeah. The dude is popular.
We're close.
Yeah, only 100 or so away. But, it's an interesting scenario to where, that was one of those situations where as much as this whole situation was bad, ESPN needed him way more than he needed ESPN. Right. And I feel the same way about Pat McAfee, where that pickup for ESPN, that was wholly to benefit ESPN.
And brilliant move, because Pat McAfee finally brought you guys some kind of credibility with you guys getting so weird and woke.
Yeah.
Weird and woke, man.
Well, and when you look at the two biggest, I guess, TV providers, you got ESPN and FS1, Fox Sports 1. And both of them have like some good anchor points. Obviously, Pat McAfee is a big one, and then First Take with Stephen A. is another big one for ESPN. And on the FS1 side, you've got Cowherd, I think, is their biggest
Dan Patrick,
one. And Dan Patrick. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like, it's a lot of middle ground in terms of nobody really cares about anything else. Now, obviously, ESPN decided to go towards the NFL and their network in hopes to kind of bring some relevancy to their stuff.
Which was smart.
Now, FS1 has decided to go with Barstool Sports, which is a very, that's kind of right-wing Dave Portnoy's whole thing. Like, it's more aggressive.
It's going to be your NASCAR and your those the fans that are definitely more
because Barstool,
conservative.
Yeah, Barstool right now made a little bit of waves when they recently hired back former Raiders coach
John Gruden.
John Gruden, to bring back that Gruden's quarterback camp that he used to do for ESPN. They brought him back and redid that show for Barstool, which some people thought shouldn't give that guy a platform. Other people thought, he lives and breathes football. Let the guy do his thing.
I personally think when it comes to Gruden, right, different subject, but I think it definitely probably wasn't the smartest movie made, but in the same token, he took the fall for what others were doing too. It wasn't just him. And it was silly, but to label him a racist and all that was dumb. He made a mistake, definitely, but do I think he was a scapegoat for others? Absolutely.
Well, and it's one of those things, obviously Barstool feels similarly. And so you have to look at both networks now and you got to wonder, like, who's going to come out on top?
Yeah,
because they both were in the same position of like, we have a lot of median shows that aren't getting viewership. We got to do something, right? Both of them made the decision to try to bring on some internet personalities, and obviously ESPN is going to go towards more partnership stuff. I'm just curious to see a year from now, where does FS1 and ESPN stand with viewership?
Yeah.
Because I do think FS1 is taking more risks for sure. I think, you bring Barstool into the fold, you're taking a risk. And then ESPN, less risky, but definitely more expensive.
I think this with ESPN. I think for the 6 months out of the year that the NFL is extremely relevant, ESPN's going to come up on top. They are. 100%. And I'm not even saying I'm an ESPN fan, but I think I'm going to go wherever the NFL goes. That's just my mind.
I only watch ESPN for the 30 for 30s, Sports Center, and then Monday Night Football.
We're on the same page. I don't watch it for any other reason.
Because I refuse to watch First Take. I think Stephen A's an idiot. Yeah. If I was to watch
Stephen A like Stephen A.
Yeah, it just, he frustrates me. The man, he's turning more and more into Skip Bayless every year, which is not a good thing.
But I would say this with the Barstool Sports, if their content is relative and it sparks a fire, it could be more relative throughout the year. But I do think, viewership and listenership, during the NFL season when they have no NFL package, no NFL ties, going to be hard.
Yeah.
Because here's another thing. If ESPN's picking up NFL Network, right? Well, then they got the NFL, the morning deal.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the best.
Good Morning
Football.
Yeah,
Good Morning Football. And that to me is like the best morning, in my opinion. I think it beats everything.
You start off Sundays with.
Yeah, I love it. I love those guys, and they're awesome. And
I
they're
love
talented.
seeing their picks. And
yep, they're good stuff. Yeah. They know football, and they're entertaining. And so my point being is I think from a listenership and viewership, throughout this time of year, ESPN's going to,
So ESPN will have a very strong fall season and into winter, and potentially FS1 might hold the ground for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And people like controversial stuff, but I think they also like honest stuff because I think that's what, like, to me, where was McAfee before he ended up on ESPN?
Primarily just on YouTube.
Just streaming. See, I was going to say, so Fox didn't lose him. He wasn't on Fox. No. Okay. Because here's the thing, Colin Cowherd and Dan Patrick, I love them both. Don't get me wrong. They're older. I know they're not the sex appeal and the fired up kind of guys that McAfee is. I mean, without question. So, but I'm with you. Stephen A. is a blowhard. Honestly, I like it. I know this sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. I like hearing him talk about in the political arena more than I like him in the sports arena.
Well, that's the thing. He is so built for politics, just the way he acts and is. Like the man is built for politics more so than he is for sports analysis.
And I feel like his politics are a little more. He's liberal, but he's like I would say a moderate liberal because I love the fact he gets on Fox News. I like that he gets on Hannity and those guys, and he can talk it up with them, and he throws shade at his own party when he knows they're blowing it, and he's very honest about the Republican side. So I always kept thinking, man, you're better suited for this than you are sports.
Oh, just wait. I'm sure he'll make the pivot. So.
Yeah, I think he will too.
Wherever he'll get the most attention, that's where he'll go.
Right.
All right, we're going to come back. I've got a fun debate question to ask my old man, so we'll see you guys in segment 3. Hello, audience. If you are a fan of my voice and you hate the fact that I talk to other people on podcasts, then boy, do I have one for you. For No One in Particular is a podcast we're going to be launching by the end of this month here in August. It is a solo project by myself. It'll be a fun, very random podcast. The preface episode, which kind of goes into what it's all about, will be releasing in a couple days here, and then the first actual episode will release within the next couple weeks. So again, if you think this voice is sexy, there's something wrong with you, but go ahead and tune in to For No One in Particular by Desert Highway Radio.
Stud.
Welcome back to segment 3 of Generational Talent. I've got a question for you, Dab, and it's a question that, boy howdy, is it a hot topic, I would say.
Is it loaded?
It's depending on where you live. Like, did Oakland deserve to lose all 3 of its sports teams?
Having been to Oakland numerous times, and here, before I get into that, let me tell you, it's bittersweet because as a kid, I was one that my first experiences with professional sports were the Giants and the A's. I mean, because they were the ones closest to me, right? So, and even though I'm a big Seattle fan, yes, I was born and raised in Washington State, but we didn't have a lot of money, a lot of resources, so I never got to go to those, to the big league stuff because we just simply couldn't afford it. So that being said, when we moved here, not to say that I won the lottery or nothing, but my dad as a single parent wanted to, he was a sports fan, and my brother and I were getting into sports in our, I would say 14, 15-year-old years. All of a sudden he's like, well, let's go see a baseball game. So my first baseball game was a Giants game, right? And it was neat. Will Clark was on the team, Kevin Mitchell, Matt Williams, neat stuff. Well, number of games after that, a number of them were Oakland games because they were cheaper and they had good products. You had Canseco and McGuire and Ruben Sierra, and you had some good players.
Yeah.
So my point being is, the sad but true fact is the Oakland that I would go to when I was a kid in the early 90s, and not the Oakland that I went to here. We went there. You and I have been there for a couple of concerts.
Yeah, yes, we have.
One in particular was a Green Day one, which was a blast. The concert was great. The area was absolutely filthy, disgusting, gross.
Yes.
That was number one. Number two, I went there 2 years ago when Wes graduated high school. My youngest son graduated high school. We took him and his girlfriend to see Zach Bryan. At the where the Golden State Warriors used to play too before they split. Seeing that, same gross area that you and I, dealt with a few years prior. I mean, in terms of your tent cities and just a lot of gross.
Yeah.
But just watching and seeing the Oakland A's were playing that night. There was more people, by the way, at the Zach Bryan concert than there was at the Oakland A's game.
No surprise there.
No surprise. But to see the status of, and that was the last year that they were there. It was, all the foundations were cracked with gaping holes. There's weeds everywhere. I mean, it was at the facility. And I'm thinking, it's gotten so gross. And so I would think this. I think the way that those facilities got into in terms of the shape they got into, I think the crime-ridden scenario that plays out in the community of Oakland, which is just, deplorable what they do to their city, and the actual area where those stadiums were, I totally 150% understand why the Golden State Warriors went to San Francisco, why the Raiders went to Vegas, and why Oakland is eventually heading to Vegas.
Yeah. Obviously there's a lot of arguments to be made both ways. Yes, Oakland, not a city I would want to take my family to ever. And there's the financial constraints too. They were not wanting to spend money on this state-of-the-art stadium. There's a lot of challenges, obviously, in a city like Oakland, and so it's hard to say, well, let's put a ton of money into their sporting events. But some of the other arguments in terms of it not being Oakland's problem that they left, you got John Fisher of the A's, who has been criticized a lot of times, mainly for just putting profit over the team history,
totally
the fan
cheap
base, and all that stuff.
Cheap.
And then you've got the changing sports landscape where a lot of teams are relocating to cities that they're just more financially stable. And obviously for the Raiders, especially who have made the move completely.
Yeah. Successfully too, I would say.
Oh, very successful. They have one of the best stadiums. Obviously their team is stupid, but that has nothing to do with where they relocated to.
Tommy's not a Raider fan.
No. And it's piss poor management on their part and just a lot of interesting decision. We'll see how this year goes. They've definitely started making moves in a better direction.
Seahawks version 2.0, they just signed Jamal Adams too.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, they sure did.
Hopefully for a small contract.
Three.
Okay. Yeah. But it makes sense though. If you're a sports team, you go where the money is. There's money in Vegas.
Oh, yes.
That
stadium was built in record fashion.
And it's honestly surprising that it took that long.
Me. I don't know. I think a lot of that had to do with the influence and the change in what's happened with the gambling scene. Yeah. It used to be, sport. We're going to keep, sports betting is not going to be. It's
now
not going to be a thing.
MGM on everything.
It's everything. It's everywhere. So I think that used to be the concern because I think we can all agree if, God forbid, if any of those bookies get involved or those players, you've already had isolated moments, and that's why the league's cracked down hardcore on those
I just
players.
don't see that is always going to be a problem. Whether or not they're located in Vegas, that's the sports betting is going to be a problem.
I think that's why now you're seeing the willingness to move franchises to Vegas because you just hit it on the head. You can bet on teams if you live in North Dakota.
The fact that it's all done, not all of it, but you can do a lot of it just over your phone now. It's even more difficult.
And I'm one of those that I love that. I love that. I don't mind going down to the kiosk and stuff, but that we're lucky enough to be able to do that in our state. If I did live in North Dakota, I'm loving the fact I can bet on football. So, and because I'll bet on other sports and we have our fun with it. I get where it can be abused. But in terms of why you're right, why Vegas is financially stable and they have been for years. Oh, I think so. And I think with the gambling scenario playing out the way that it has done nationwide, now everybody's willing to move to Vegas.
Yeah.
As a franchise.
What's insane to me though, not so much that a team left Oakland to go to somewhere else, but that all three, they're basketball, baseball, and football
all
teams
within 6 years of each other, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks too because I do believe that if you're an Oakland A's fan, you're a dedicated fan because that is a hard franchise to love.
And both those franchises, all three really, but definitely the A's and the Raiders had a lot of success when they were in Oakland.
Yes.
We're talking Super Bowl championships and you had World Series championships. So it's not like these were franchises that left that were what have you done?
Oh, and the interesting thing too is Golden State. Talk about a team that jumped ship right when stuff was getting good.
I know. Yeah. Half their time was in Oakland. The other half has been in San Fran.
No, don't get me wrong. I do feel bad for anybody who lives in Oakland because that's got to be one of the few highlights of living in that city is to be able to go to one of those places and watch a sports game.
Right. And they were loyal. You're talking about Oakland Raider fans. Loyal, man. Those fans. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you can't take it away. They'll live and die. Every Raider fan is that way. I will give them credit. Raider fans are loyal, big time. And so, I give them credit. So that had to be a hard move. And you guys have experienced that a couple of times between Oakland and LA. LA, and now your team is definitely not coming back because now they're Vegas all the way.
Yeah, and I can't picture any NFL team wanting to make that move to Oakland either, because it's just not a viable market that you'd want to put money into.
No, I think that city itself has a lot of work to do. It would have a lot of work to do. And it just, all I can tell you is that as long as, I would say for 20 plus years, Oakland's been rough.
Yeah.
As a city, rough.
Now, is there any other, because obviously you can look at a couple different teams to where I could see them definitely making the move out of there for one reason or another. Is there any NFL teams or MLB or NBA teams that you definitely could see making a move out of the city that they're currently in?
That's a great question.
Because I can start you off with one while you're thinking about it.
Yeah, hit me with one.
So right off the bat, and I don't even understand why the move was made initially. I would love to see LA lose both of its teams.
For what sport? For football?
Sorry, for football, yeah. Because the Chargers, why they moved out of San Diego, I'll never understand. I think they had a strong fan base there, and they do not have a fan base where they're currently at. The Rams, more so, I think, can hold on to a little bit more of LA's fan base. But to me, I'm like, why move out of St. Louis?
I know. I think here's what I would say. I've been to SoFi.
And it's a beautiful stadium. Like,
amazing stadium.
LA is trying. They are putting in a lot of money. Like, they're doing everything
It's a beautiful stadium. Beautiful
but you relocated two teams that had very strong existing fan bases for reasons that to me are just
dumb. But I would say this. One thing that they're smart of, there's a home game every week at SoFi.
That's
it was a brilliant move in terms of you have two franchise. You have a home game every single week,
which is the same thing that New York does with MetLife.
Right. And so, but I do agree with you because there are a lot, especially with the Chargers for whatever reason. There's the visiting team always has more fans. Always. I mean, and it's crazy to me. Always. And so,
and I would guarantee to you, if there was a game where it was the Rams versus the Chargers, it's probably the lowest stadium numbers they'll ever see.
It's interesting. So I don't know if that would be the team I would move. I think the teams that's in danger of moving, I mean, if they don't get it, I would say if you're talking football right now, Carolina, is the team is.
I can see Jacksonville as well.
Yeah, Carolina just has it, or Jacksonville definitely.
Because Jacksonville, you've got two other Florida teams that are on the up and up.
Yep, and Carolina just doesn't seem to get out of. They're in the starting blocks all the time. They haven't gotten anywhere. So
Cleveland, I should lose their team.
Cleveland won't, I think, only because what you've got going on there is a massive amount of history. Not winning history, but just football history.
That, and you've had a lot of change, obviously, with the Baltimore Colts and all that, and then just
and don't get me wrong,
weird team
Cleveland
theft.
is the most mismanaged franchise I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you put it to me, they top almost any franchise in sports. Period. They're just so train wreck.
Yeah.
That is just, if you're a Browns fan, I'm sorry, your team is garbage and has been for a long time, and your management is terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And just their choices, everything about that team is bad.
That, and I'd love to see a team, basketball side of things, relocate to Seattle. I'd love to have the Supersonics back.
Well,
it's crazy that we don't.
They come in pairs, right? And I think everybody's in agreement. It should be Seattle and Vegas with the NBA franchises, without question.
Agreed.
Should have never left Seattle in the first place.
Go to Oklahoma City.
It made no sense because Seattle was relative. It made no sense. That was just a greedy move on the owner who was mad. If you read into it, he was mad because the city did not want to pony up and pay for half of a new stadium that was needed. So he went to where a city was promising him a new stadium. So he upped and left. And so I think it was, greed on the owner's part and dumb move on the city's part to let it go. Yeah. I think it'll be back. I truly believe the Sonics will be back one day. And in the meantime, I've just kind of float around the league.
I'll be a basketball fan once they come back. So.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll root for the Kings here and there, but they're another mismanaged franchise. Baseball, if there's any that stand out in the baseball arena, right now, if you're a Rockies fan, your team is garbage.
Oh, God, sell that team.
Your team's like 38 and 80. Oh my God!
See that one? I don't know if you need to relocate necessarily because I think Denver having a baseball team makes sense. But ownership needs to change. Give it to the Walton family. Come on, look, they're doing all right with the Broncos.
Yeah, it is a big enough market. I agree. I mean, Denver's they're a big enough market to where they should. I don't know. I think you've got baseball team. I mean, even my own team's got to have some success. We've got to start winning. I'm a Mariner fan, so I'm really glad that we're somewhat competing. But boy, that's a toughie. I don't know if there's a baseball team out there that right now is like major struggling or very obvious should be, moved out of there. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't, nothing that comes to the top of my head there. Cause maybe, one that has not been relative for years is the Marlins. They haven't been relative for years, but they're another one when you were talking about like the A's being cheap. They're a cheap franchise. He doesn't want to spend any money.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too. Florida comes up a lot in terms of they always have a lot of teams in Florida, and to me it
because you get
sense.
year-round sports.
That's true. Because, I mean, obviously, like, you look at just the population size and things like New York having two baseball or, but two football teams, all that. It makes sense. Population size. LA, same thing. It makes sense.
Your bigger urbans.
Florida, like, just as a state in itself, having three football, three. Do they have three baseball? You got Tampa Bay Devil Rays, you got the Florida Marlins, and then do they have another one, or am I crazy?
No, you just have. Yeah, you just have two. Yeah.
Okay, so three football.
Now you got to
teams,
remember what happens
teams.
though. But you also got spring training baseball down there, so they get like half the league is down there for about a month and a half.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, no, that was just my own thoughts were just any teams, because like obviously yes, you have your other teams where like I would never ever want to see the Bills leave Buffalo because I think it is just such a fun fan base. As much as I hate the Chiefs, there's no doubt there is a strong fan base. Arrowhead Stadium's insane, stuff like that where you wouldn't imagine them leaving their own teams. But there's other ones where it's like, yeah, no, I could see you guys wanting to make a change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do think there are some franchises that but so many of them have some history in there, so they don't want to, get out of there. But I think that the moves you're seeing, I mean, I totally understand the A's moving.
I can see the Tennessee Titans moving around too. I mean, I feel like that's not a strong fan base either. I mean, the fact that it started off as the Oilers,
right,
and then
moved middle of the night.
Yep.
And you're right, they haven't had much success there.
If they start winning, different story.
I think so too. I would say this: the city of Nashville, if you get a good franchise on there, I do think could support that team massively, because Nashville as a tourist destination, as a growing city, I think there's interest. And I would say if you're going to have any sport there, let it be football, because you've got your conservative, fan base there in Nashville that I don't know that an NBA franchise might do as well, but an NFL franchise, if you put a good product on the team, would do well. Because I do think when they had Steve McNair and
rest in peace.
Eddie, the running back there too. Eddie George. And you had a good team. Well, and remember, they were one step away from winning a Super Bowl. They literally came 2 yards short of, I think it was against the Rams.
It was.
It was that close.
Because it was what's his face's Super Bowl win.
Kurt Warner.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the best Super Bowls I'd ever seen.
And
they were a yard away from winning it. So
then they had slight relevance with Tannehill in the one season where they finished first in their division, but they just couldn't capitalize.
They just haven't had just have not had a good product since McNair.
Yeah,
they just haven't. So I think they could. Yeah, because I definitely think Nashville's a humongous city and they could support a franchise.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Normally we talk about bets, but we're already hitting our hour mark here. So, Trav, anything else to say while we wrap things up?
Oh, well, on the betting side, I will say this. Stay tuned on the next one. I think Tommy and I are going to have a lot of fun at the next one because at the pace we're going, we're going to be right on the heels of the NFL starting. So we might have some lines to bet and some things that are going to be fun regarding opening season. So I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, so
our lights just went off in here. I had to wave around like a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube, man.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind doing some future bets, and you and I talking about that in terms of teams winning the division, teams winning the Super Bowl. Some of those.
Man, we can get into it next episode of who our pick is for each divisional winner.
Yep,
that could be a fun one.
Yep, and you can do those future bets, which are fun. I've done that before. I did it with Jacksonville, and I missed it by one.
Yes,
where Jacksonville had to win 10 games, and my $10 ticket turned into $150.
Where Jacksonville fell off and
they won
not
9.
Picked it back up.
They won 9 too. They came up one short. My $10 would have been $150. I'm like,
that was the season that we saw the start of their decline.
Which is, we were on the heels of, it had that good year before. We're like, Jacksonville's going to, and it never materialized.
Nope. They've been in mediocrity ever since.
So we'll have some fun on the next one for sure, just because NFL, we'll be so excited on the next one because we're going to be right there talking NFL, baby.
Our favorite sport, the best sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Football, American football.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to Generational Talent. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead and follow us on social media at Desert Highway Radio and listen to our other shows, Mic'd Up and Mildly Qualified, for no one in particular, and the Morning Show with Travis and John, which is a very localized podcast if you live in Lyon County, Nevada. We will catch you whenever we catch you. The release schedule is awful on this show.